Welcome to the Oasis. My name's Mike, and here I am in sunny San Francisco, enjoying a couple of days off after a chaotic week of traveling and attending Oculus Connect 6. It's been a great event, but I was completely fried afterwards, so it was nice to come up here and kind of recharge. So if you've been expecting content during the show, I apologize for that, and hopefully this recap will sort of quench your thirst for sort of content about the event. So in this video, it's going to be a roundup of all the content I got to try at Oculus Connect, including the Quest hand tracking, Oculus Link, the best Rift games, the best Quest games, and then I'm going to round up the video with my highlight of the show, and you definitely want to stick around for that. You don't want to miss it. It's awesome. But before we get into the video, I want to say thank you to Oculus for sponsoring my trip here, my flights, accommodation, and ticket to the event. I really appreciate the invite. But I wasn't paid while I'm here, and they have no control over the content I make, so I just want to be clear about that as well. So I hope you guys and girls enjoy this one, and without further ado, let's dive in. So let's kick this off with Oculus Link. Oculus Link will be a free update to the Oculus Quest, which will be launching in November this year. This update enables Quest owners who have a VR-capable PC to play full games from the Oculus Rift store on their Quest, which is pretty cool, to be honest. Now, this is a tethered solution, meaning that you'll have to run a USB cable from the headset to your PC. Now, most high-quality USB 3 cables will work with this solution. However, a few months later, Oculus will be releasing an $80 premium 5-meter fiber optic cable utilizing USB-C to USB-C connectors designed to provide the optimal visual experience whilst keeping the headset fully charged. During my hands-on demo using the Oculus Link, I noted that there was a clip that was used at the back of the head strap to keep the cable out of the way, which was a nice little touch. And then this cable was plugged directly into a USB-C port on the demo PC's motherboard. The cool thing is that this should also work with the USB-C virtual link connector on new NVIDIA graphics cards. Now, before I got to try Oculus Link, I was very skeptical about how good this would look inside the headset itself. And I have to say, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I was playing a demo of Stormland, which started off in this dark and stormy environment, which looked fantastic inside the Oculus Quest. Now, there's a few factors that actually made me think the game looked better on Quest than it did on Rift S, which I'd tried a few hours earlier, which really surprised me. So firstly, I was able to dial in my IPD, which is around 60 millimeters, because of course the Oculus Quest has manual IPD adjustment, whereas the Rift S is fixed at an optimal IPD setting of around 64 millimeters. Also, the panels in the Oculus Quest are OLED panels, which can produce better, darker scenes than the LCD in the Rift S. Another thing is the resolution on the Quest is slightly higher than the Rift S, although you need to take into account that the Rift S has a pixel-dense display with its RGB sub-pixel arrangement as it's an LCD. The fact that the panels were running at 72 Hz on the Oculus Quest compared to the Rift S 80 Hz, I didn't personally notice at all. Now, John Carmack actually highlighted during his keynote that the displays of the Quest are only limited to 72 Hz due to the FCC approval that they got when the Quest launched. So potentially this could be unlocked to 90 Hz in the future. Having played many games on the Oculus Quest, it was amazing to see how good it can look when it's unlocked with a PC running a full PC VR game. Now, after the event, I heard that some of my friends and colleagues were saying that they saw artifacts and compression when playing demos like Asgard's Wrath with the Oculus Link. But when I was playing the Stormland demo, it was absolutely perfect, and even when I was shaking my head like a maniac, the tracking or the visual clarity didn't get compromised. I do have a feeling that this cable has been in development for a long time and was probably ready for when the Quest launched, but I guess Oculus decided strategically to delay it, as otherwise I think the majority of people would have bought a Quest over the Rift S. Now, since this announcement, I've seen many people concerned and asking me, Mike, is the Rift S dead now? Well, Not quite. You have to remember that the major benefit of using the Rift S is that it's still more comfortable than the Quest as standard, because the Quest is a very front-heavy headset, and when you're playing very deep and immersive games like Stormland and playing the game for hours, it's going to get uncomfortable over time. Also, the tracking volume of the Rift S is larger due to its fifth camera, which is placed on top of the headset, so that's another point to consider. But you have to admit, now that the Oculus Quest has Oculus Link and the hand tracking, which I'll talk about very shortly, it does make it a very compelling package that offers significant value for money. So in summary, I would say that the Rift S does offer better comfort and has a better tracking volume. However, with a head strap mod like using the Vive Deluxe audio strap with the Quest, you would end up with a very comfortable headset that can do both standalone and PC VR in one headset, which is pretty incredible, to be honest. So overall, very impressed with the Oculus Link. Of course, just remember that you'll still need a VR-capable PC for this to work. I'll provide a link in the description down below to an Oculus System Checker tool so you can see if your PC is up to scratch. Next up is the Oculus Quest finger tracking, and this will be coming to Oculus Quest in a free update in early 2020. Now, this means that you'll be able to navigate the Quest menus in the home environment without needing to use the touch controllers and just simply using your hands. Now, this won't be compatible with all games. Apps and games will have to specifically opt in to use this feature. Now, I got to try out a very strange farmer's insurance demo in the business area where I could walk around a home environment and point out water puddles. I then had to touch these puddles with my finger and then decide if the water could be cleaned up or if the water had caused damage, which then needed to be repaired. During the demo, I was testing out a variety of different hand gestures, and slow controlled movements worked best. So I could touch the individual fingers on each hand with my thumbs, I could give the thumbs up, I could flip the bird, I could give an OK signal, and all were tracked perfectly fine. However, you reach the limits of the technology when one hand is placed in front of the other, occluding it from the tracking cameras, and when that happens, both hands just disappear. Also, when bringing the hands close to the headset, they would also vanish. The hand movements were smooth for the most part, but there was a little bit of latency there. So although this is a very cool feature, don't expect to be playing Beat Saber using your fingers anytime soon. I think where finger tracking will really shine is in business use cases for public demos where people have never used game controllers before, and social applications such as big screen, for example, where most of the time you're talking and interacting with other people in the room or watching a movie together, so holding controllers is unnecessary, and finger tracking will make the interactions feel more natural. What I was also really surprised about is that this feature wasn't even hinted at coming to the Rift S, and this is another big blow to consumers who recently bought a Rift S. My only guess is that due to the camera placement on the Rift S, it might not work as well, but hopefully we can get some official clarification on this from Oculus in the coming months prior to release. Now let's move on to the games, and starting with the Rift. On the show floor, I got to try out the updated Stormland demo, which I was able to play cooperatively with my buddy Nathy. Now, playing together in Stormland as these funky robots was a lot of fun, and we were racing across the clouds together and taking down enemies with a range of weaponry. However, our fun came to an abrupt end whilst having a race to climb to the top of a cool building. Unfortunately, Nathy got stuck inside the wall, meaning we couldn't progress any further. Despite this though, the gameplay was very polished and graphically it looks very impressive. And Stormland is still one of my most anticipated games of this year, and I'm glad we don't have to wait much longer. Now we have a solid release date of the 14th of November. If you want to see some gameplay of the single player experience, I'll put a little link up to the video that I recorded last Oculus Connect of my single player gameplay. Next up is Pixel Ripped 1995. Now, if you played the original Pixel Ripped, you'll know exactly what to expect. A healthy dose of nostalgia with the unique game-within-a-game gameplay mechanics. In the demo that I played, you took the role of a young boy in his bedroom playing a Castlevania-esque side-scroller on your console and your TV. Your mum then enters the room and tells you it's time for bed and commits the cardinal sin of turning your TV off while you're playing. She then leaves the room, and then you can sort of sneak around and turn the TV back on and continue your game. Now, the interesting thing is that when you step on wooden platforms within the Castlevania game, this makes a noise that actually wakes up your mum, who then comes down the corridor to check on you, and that's where you have to turn the TV off again and pretend you're asleep. This demo was a charming trip down memory lane that took me right back to my own childhood gaming experiences growing up. This new Pixel Ripped will be coming to Rift and Quest, and definitely one to keep an eye on. Before we move on to the Quest games, if you're wondering about Medal of Honor, sadly I didn't get to try it as the queues for this game were around 3 hours long, and sadly we didn't have the ability to book any appointments to play it. It's a real shame as this was something I was most looking forward to trying at Oculus Connect. The trailer that they showed during the keynote looks like a lot of fun, and as soon as I can get my hands on this game, I'll give you my first impressions. Now let's move on to the Oculus Quest, and I was able to play 3 demos on the Quest during the show. First up is the brand new Beat Saber 360 mode, which was originally demoed at E3 this year. It's amazing that even after all this time, the team at Beat Games continues to push updates that add more to the core gameplay experience. Freely rotating around to slice blocks coming at you from new directions makes Beat Saber feel fresh and exciting all over again. This new update uses subtle indicators so you know which direction these new blocks will be coming from, but when these blocks cross paths in front of you and you're slicing them in new and interesting ways, it feels very satisfying. Even on my first try with the new 360 mode, it instantly felt intuitive to play and a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to when this update drops later this year, which I believe is going to be exclusive to the Oculus Quest as it can do 360 rotation without getting tangled up in wires. I understand a limited 180 version may be coming to PC. The second game I played on the Oculus Quest was the Room VR Dark Matter. Now this is a VR spin-off from the Room series from Fireproof Games, which was predominantly on mobile. Now this is an interesting puzzle game set in London in the 1900s. The demo that I played had me teleporting around an environment and completing puzzles to gather items from the evidence store at a police station to then use these items to crack open a safe. The puzzle design was smart and challenging, which made completing the puzzles fun and rewarding. The game has some supernatural, spooky vibes going on, so if like me you enjoy puzzle games in VR, this is one definitely worth keeping an eye on. The third and final Quest game was my highlight of the show, and that was Pistol Whip from Cloudhead Games. This game is an awesome mix of Superhot's shooting and dodging bullets with Beat Saber's music and addictive gameplay. You move on rails through these colourful environments, dispatching enemies as you progress. Despite the constant movement, it was incredibly comfortable to play. The game isn't quite rhythm-based, although when you move in time with the music, it kind of feels like a bullet ballet from a movie like John Wick or The Matrix. The game does an amazing job of empowering you as a player and making you feel like a total badass. It's a workout too, as you'll be crouching and squatting to dodge incoming fire and swinging haymakers to pistol whip enemies that get too close. I got to play with a single controller, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when a second controller is added to the mix. The game will be launching with mixed reality capture support on PC, so I can see this game being the next big popular game for mixed reality content creators. The game will be launching on PC and Quest on the 7th of November, so make sure you mark it in your diaries because this one is not to be missed. Okay, so there we have it, guys and girls. That's my roundup of all the content I got to try at Oculus Connect 6. It was an awesome event, but it felt very different from previous Oculus Connects, particularly last year where the focus was on games. Lots of games on the show floor where they had tennis courts set up for like Tennis Scramble, for example. They had The Void, they had the Dead and Buried local multiplayer Quest demo, which was my highlight of last year. So a lot of that was sort of missing from the event this year. The show floor felt very empty in comparison, and the best games that I got to try weren't even on the demo floor. They were sort of in a private hotel demo or the random sort of demo that I got to try of Pistol Whip on the concourse from the guys at Cloudhead Games. So yeah, it was a very strange event for me as a gamer. I definitely expected more to be announced in terms of games at the keynote and expected more games on the show floor. Very much sort of business focused, it seems. The highlight clearly for them was to showcase the Quest. Rift S was sort of whispered about here and there, but really it was all about Quest at this event. So a bit of a strange event for me this year. Certainly preferred previous years, but you know, the best thing about attending Oculus Connect isn't necessarily what happens there or the tech or the games. It's meeting all the people there and getting to meet people and developers from games that I've enjoyed over the past few years was an amazing experience, and it was great to sort of shake their hands and thank them for their hard work and dedication to the VR community. So that part was great, and also meeting VR enthusiasts and hanging out with VR content creators that are my friends and colleagues was great. It really felt like reuniting with family. That's how cool it was. So that was kind of the summary summary of my Oculus Connect. But let me know what you guys and girls think. I'm super intrigued what you guys think about Oculus Link, you know, and Quest, and that sort of dominating the show over Rift S. How do you feel about that? Are you disappointed, or are you a Quest owner and you're really happy about it because you have a PC that's capable of playing VR games? I'd love to know in the comments down below. Also, let me know what your favorite game is and what you're most looking forward to. Obviously, Pistol Whip was mine. I can't wait to play more of that game, and it will definitely be featured on the channel, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this one. Leave a like if you did. Make sure you're subscribed for all my future content, and as always, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.